Hi everyone, our next lesson is condition if and else switch. So there are two conditional statements in Java, if else and switch. Now the chapter 7 we did data types and variables. So we declared a variable and we printed it. But if you see in your daily life, it that is not the operation you would like to do. You might want to do more than that, right? So Java has some conditional statements which helps you to decide at runtime what do you want to do. For example, if I have two numbers and on runtime I want to decide which one is larger, because most of the interactions which you do with any website or anything you will create in Java would be by user. So the user will give an input and then you will have to decide what the output would be. So in those cases where you will have to take a decision as to, okay, go this way or that way, this is where if and else or switch is used. Now which one to use, it's up to you. Switch has some limitations as to what you can do using a switch, but it is totally the developer choice as to what they want to use. If else is much popular than switch for sure. So depending upon how comfortable you are with if and else or switch. So the first exercise which we are going to do, which is write a Java program to print one if value of x is 1, 2 if value of x is 2, and I don't know the number if the value of x is less than other than 1 or 2. So this I'm going to write for both if and else and switch. So you guys can decide which one to, but the second one I'm just going to use if else because that is my personal preference. I like the if else better. Now let's get on to Eclipse. If you don't know what is Eclipse, please follow the course which says Eclipse IDE and try to create few exercises. If you're not, you can for sure come into create a new Java project, and now I'm going to create a new Java class. This is condition because we are going to do conditional statements. So I'm going to say condition and I want public static void main. So we'll start writing our first program. It is always good to add the comments. So I'm going to say okay. So we are going to do this. Now how do we start? We start writing if first. So if, and I have to first now I have to declare this variable x first because I am deciding my if else based on that value. So if x, I'm first giving it a value 1, right, and then we can change it and see how output changes. If, so I say if x is equal to 1. Now I put a bracket. Once I just put opening bracket, you see a closing bracket on line 11, it comes automatically. So now I'm going to have say system dot out dot println. This means I am in 1, so I have to print 1 and I have to put a semicolon. Now I can always not write else statement, it's up to me. You can always write one if. Now in this case, if, so do you see double equal to, this is an operator which checks the value. Single equal to assigns the value and double equal to checks the value. Now if you run this program, you will see that 1 is printed because the value, and if I just do 2 here, you will see that nothing is going to happen. I'll have a blank console because it didn't went, so it went here, it checked the condition not false, it came onto line 12 and nothing happened. Now it is always advisable to write else. You should always write else with if. So right now I want to add another condition, which is else if x equal to 2. I had 3 equal to my mistake. Now I'm going to put a bracket, and the bracket will, I'm just going to copy the SOP and say 2. 2. Now let me run this program. If when I run this program, you will see 2, because now I have a condition for 2. It is always advisable to also have the else statement. You are free to skip it, but it is good to have the else statement because you would like to know at the end, what happened. So suppose if I have 3 here now, nothing is going to happen. It's going to be a blank console. I won't know what happened, right? So I should always write else, which will say system.out.println, and it will say I don't know the number, right? So now it's going to come in I don't know the number, right? So this is how we do this program using if and else. If I want to write the same program using switch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it some space and also say I am learning switch, so that it tells me that it is printing, because I'm going to switch on the same number. So switch start from switch keyword. It is an SS. So this means that I have done something wrong. It is going to give me some suggestions, but I don't think I can take any of the suggestions. So it is SS lowercase, and it changed. It is correct because it changed the color. I'm putting this switch on X, and then the bracket start. Now it has cases, so I'm going to say case 1. It means if it is 1, what I want to print 1. Now case 2, what I want to do, print 2. And at the end it has a case default, like else. It is basically else. The case default is else if you compare with if else. So this is how it is. Now let me start running it and see how it works. If I do 1, see what it did. Once I ran the program, if else is good, but switch, it ran this, then it ran this one as well and this one as well. So what it is doing is, if it encounters the right case, it just executes all the statements after that. So to stop that, we use a break statement, which breaks the control, and I also have to use it after every case, so that I run only that case, not all of them. So now when I run the thing, you will see it's only printing 1, which is correct. Right, so this is the end of the first exercise which we wanted to do. And the second exercise which we wanted to do was, we need to assign 2 numbers. We need to take 2 numbers and print the largest of the 2 numbers, right? So let's write a program to print largest of 2 numbers. So my personal preference is that I'm going to use int num1, num2, because I have to declare 2 numbers. That's the first thing I have to do. Now if num1 is greater than num2, right, what will happen? If num1 is greater than num2, that means number 1 is so it is saying that the numbers has not been initialized. I'm just going to give some values in these numbers so that they have some value. Num2 is 11. Okay, now if this happens, this means if num1 is greater than num2, that means num1 is largest. Else, now there can be a case that num1 and num2 are equal, right? So I have to take care of that also. So that's why I'm saying else if num2 is greater than num1, in that case it's going to print num2 is largest, else they both are equal. So this is the case which we should encounter if by mistake I enter both of them same. So I would say both numbers are same. So let's run this and see what happens. Right now it is saying 11 is largest, right? Because of the two, 11 is largest. Now if I just put 10 in both of them, it's gonna say both numbers are same. So make sure whenever you are writing a program, you try to think of all the possible combinations, because suppose if I have not encountered this case 3 and somebody entered the same numbers, it's not going to print any one of them, right? So make sure you have the right set of scenarios before you start coding. And this completes my session for condition statements. Thank you. See you next time.